actually wrong. Republicans want Ford to testify because they want to get this over with and vote. That's what you do in a democracy. They've even offered to interview her privately in California. Senator Grassley sent a letter to that effect just recently. Democrats oppose that, of course. They like to ride this story into November and beyond. Instead, the left is calling for an FBI investigation. The FBI wants nothing to do with any of this, as we reported on this show last night. So Democrats are now demanding that Trump order the FBI to investigate the story. But investigate what exactly? Where would you start? Ford cannot even state definitively what year this supposedly happened. And by the way, why would the FBI be in charge of the investigation? Nobody's even alleged a federal crime here. If you really wanted justice in this case, you would bring it to the police in Maryland. That's a state with no statute of limitations on sex crimes. How would that end? Well, Ford says Kavanaugh was a juvenile at the time. If evidence of his guilt emerged, would he be tried as a minor? Would his record be sealed afterwards so it wouldn't overshadow his life? If those sound like absurd questions, that's because this whole thing is absurd. The Democrats don't care about Christine Ford. If they did, they wouldn't have outed her in the first place. They care about keeping a Republican off the court, which is fine. But if that's the case, then make the case for why Kavanaugh's ideas are wrong. But don't personally destroy a man simply because he's in the way. That's what they're doing. And the rest of us should stop playing along and say it out loud. Christy Setzer is president of New Heights Communication, and she joins us tonight. Christy, thanks a lot for coming on. So just first to the question of who really cares about Christine Ford. If you really cared about her personally, why would you violate her request to remain anonymous, as Democrats did?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really important to understand, to take a step back and understand why we're talking about her at all, because we're trying to get a window into who Brett Kavanaugh is as a person, both his judicial views, but also his sense of morality, because obviously as the person who's going to sit on the highest court in the land, he's going to be the arbiter of right and wrong for every man, woman, and child in this country, right? So I think that she has something to say about his sense of morals, just as, you know, the stories that we heard about how he is the coach of
I'm not denying that. I don't think that's a
girls'
stupid
basketball team.
I don't think it's a stupid point at all.
Yeah.
But it doesn't obscure the point that this is being done in her name. We need to bring justice to her. We need to take her seriously as a woman and a survivor of this alleged attack. She asked for anonymity, and Democrats outed her, and now she's had to leave her home. So how can you say you care about Christine Ford if you betray her wishes and destroy her life, which they did?
She did ultimately decide to come forward, in part because
after they leaked the letter.
After journalists sort of, you know, finding out that she was sort of attached to this, et cetera. I'm not sure.
Because
obviously,
Democrats in the Senate, well, we are sure,
to get out.
No, we are sure. We're sure because the journalists have told us and because there's no other way. Democrats in the Congress leaked that. They leaked her identity to journalists. So how can you do that and say you care about her?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that, again, she's willing to tell her story. She initially wanted it to be one that she told privately. Now she's said that she's quite happy to tell it publicly.
Are you bothered by that, though? I mean, if a survivor says, please keep me anonymous, but you betray her for political reasons, you think that's okay?
What I'm a little bit more bothered by is the idea that she is now facing death threats from people who don't want her to go and tell her story against Brett Kavanaugh. She's scheduled to, in a matter of a few days, have to get in front of the entire country, probably on a dais next to the person that she says raped her, and tell her story all over again. That to me seems pretty upsetting.
As a factual matter, she's not claiming anyone raped her. A.
She's saying it was attempted. That's correct.
Okay. She's not saying it was attempted. She said that it could have evolved into that.
Okay.
B, she's not being asked to testify in public or next to Brett Kavanaugh. Senator Grassley sent a letter saying, we will send investigators, staffers out to California to speak with you in private. You've made an allegation. Even though you didn't want your name attached, Democrats put your name to it. So now it is out there. And why wouldn't you tell your story? We're asking to hear your story, and that is somehow abuse? How does that work?
I think she's going to tell her story. Again, I think all that they are asking for is, one, a little bit of time for her to sort of get comfortable with the idea of being not just thrust in the national spotlight, which has been happening to her for a while now, but to be this linchpin of this entire pitch battle,
I don't
which
understand.
I think would be very
hold
upsetting.
on. This is not a child. This is a woman in her 50s with a PhD. Okay? So I treat her as an adult because I don't patronize women. I'm honestly confused as to how it would somehow violate her dignity or safety to interview her in private to get the full story. Isn't that what we say we want? But we don't want that because this isn't about her or justice.
It's about stopping a Supreme Court.
So what's the answer?
What we're talking about.
What do you mean? It's definitely been out. It's in print.
Right. They've said that they can do this potentially in different ways. What they want to do, though, is to have this hearing on Monday and then get to a vote.
That is not.
As quick as
I'm sorry. Just as a factual matter,
yeah.
Senator Grassley, who's in charge of this, has a letter in which she said, "Look, we want to hear your story. Period." Now, what they really want, I have no idea because I'm not God. But what they're saying they want in public is, "We will send someone out to talk to you." Why in the world would she turn that down?
Because they're not entirely interested in really hearing that story. If we're going to be totally
why wouldn't she tell her story?
Hold
on. At some point, I'm sorry. I've really tried to give every benefit of every doubt to this woman, who I've heard, as I said 9 times, is a nice person. But she's accused someone of sexual assault. She has obligations here, too, and one is to explain herself. It's not all about her. It's also about Brett Kavanaugh and his wife and his children.
By the way, and she has. She has released...
Really?
Yes, she has released notes from her therapist. She wrote, sort of a letter about it at the time. She has said that...
So we've heard all we need to hear from her? Is that what you're saying?
Possibly, again, because she is not the one on trial, Tucker.
I'm not putting her on trial. Her allegations are putting a man who says he is innocent on trial.
No, they are not. He is acting for an enormous promotion. Again, that is what he's looking for.
This is a matter not about the Supreme Court. I know you guys don't care at all about justice or the individual. It's all about power. That's obvious. But in this case, you have a man who's a father to kids. I don't know what happened. I know she's accused him of this. Doesn't she have an obligation to explain herself? How does she not? That's a linchpin of our justice system, facing your accuser and hearing the whole story, not just throwing bits out there to wreck your life.
Again, she has submitted a letter. She's done these things. The next question that they have is, why can't there be an FBI investigation, just like there was actually in
on
what
Hill, grounds? Why does the FBI have why not a state of Maryland investigation?
Because if you are a U.S. senator, you're probably a lot of things, but you're probably not a established prosecutor or investigator or whatever. You don't know how to get to the truth of it.
Bethesda police investigate? Why the FBI has no jurisdiction here? This is so bizarre.
A number of senators have basically said outright, well, I'm going to listen to her story and then decide what I think happened. Well, you're not going to be able to get to the bottom of it after 35 years.
Leaving aside what we can know about a story that she can't explain, I'm not attacking her. She can't explain when or where it happened. Again, not attacking her. I'm noting the facts, which are the only basis upon which we make judgments in cases like this. Not whether she's a woman or he's white or these insane identity politics criteria that the left is throwing out.